Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Uncle Mad here live tonight for a quick World Cup catch up stream. Also, going to chat a little bit about what went down Sunday between the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's been a minute since we did these. As predicted, I wasn't able to keep up with doing the daily World Cup recaps. Thanksgiving weekend got crazy busy and just didn't have a whole lot of time to keep up with these, but we're back now. I feel like this is kind of a better way to do it. Just pop in every once in a while when there's more to chat about, more to discuss, as opposed to try to break down every single game. Been an interesting stretch of games over the last few days since I last jumped on the stream. Had the huge result for United States getting the 0-0 draw against England. Really played really well in that match. Looked really good, contained England's dangerous attack. You know, almost entirely. I was a little annoyed. There's a lot of negative comments about Walker Zimmerman coming out of that match, and I'm not really sure what that stems from. He had one or two misplaced passes, but first and foremost, the defender's job is to defend, and Harry Kane was a ghost in that game. Walker was on the block on the one near chance that England almost had early on in that game. He still completed like almost 90% of his passes, so if he misplaced one or two, not the end of the world to me, and that's not his first responsibility anyway. But that's neither here nor there. The result sets up USA for a win and go on match tomorrow with Iran. I don't want to mispronounce it and get yelled at the way Tyler Adams did today. That was a little bit odd, weird. That one, if you didn't see his press conference where an Iranian reporter was a little bit, I don't know, unprofessional to a certain extent. I don't know exactly what you'd say there, but we'll get more into that game in a little bit. A couple thoughts on some of the overall stuff that's been going on in the World Cup. It seems like they've kind of rolled it back, scaled back a little bit on the excessive stoppage time. They're still giving heavy amounts of stoppage time in games that like actually need it, where there were longer stoppages, longer delays. But some of the games that just kind of have been normal run of the mill games have gone back to getting only like the 2 to 3 minutes in the first half and 4 or 5 in the second. So that's been interesting. And I also feel like to a degree, FIFA must have realized that the suspension on 2 yellow cards in the group stage was a bad idea, was a bad rule, because in the second round of games, seemed like the refs were a lot slower to go to their pocket and pull out the cards there. They were being a little bit more maybe protective, trying to make sure players weren't getting those yellows that could result in them missing the third game of the group stages. Yeah, but that's kind of the two big things I noticed kind of shifted, it seemed, in the second set of games that we got over the last few days. Tomorrow, we kick off the last round of games. We're going to find out who is going on to the round of 16. It's pretty interesting in this World Cup because I believe all but two teams are still active and alive. I think Canada and funnily enough, Qatar, the host nation, are the only two teams that have been officially eliminated from the tournament. So that's interesting to have 30 out of the 32 teams going into the last round of games alive and active and with a chance to go through. Obviously some teams have a very slim margin of possibility to go through, but for only two teams to be eliminated at this point, I think also we've only got three teams that have officially qualified. I know Brazil, France, and Portugal have all clinched a spot in the round of 16, but even those three haven't. I don't think any of them have officially clinched winning their group yet. So a lot to play for over the next few days, starting with tomorrow's games. We go to the format where both games get played at the same time to prevent any kind of weird shenanigans if you know what the result of the game was before it started. So we've got the early games tomorrow. We've got Netherlands and Senegal. Is that right? Yeah. No, Netherlands are playing Qatar and Senegal's playing Ecuador. Decide who goes through that. Netherlands seems like they're in a pretty good spot to go through. The other Qatar is out, obviously, so Senegal and Ecuador are kind of the ones. And it's a head-to-head matchup for them tomorrow. Basically, whoever wins probably gets through to the next round. So I went through all the groups. I've laid out my predictions. I don't really, necessarily, I'm not going to go into details of who's going to win, what the goal differentials are going to be, where the ties are going to be, but I looked through the final round of games. I looked at the group standings, and this is where I saw each group playing out. I think when things are done tomorrow, Group A, you're going to have Netherlands on top of the group, Senegal second. That's kind of a homer pick because I'm a bit of a Senegal fan because I have a friend who is German that lives in Senegal. So I root for them kind of as a support to that person, and because that person bought me a Senegal jersey. So if you have a jersey, you kind of have to go for the team, right? I mean, that just logically makes sense. I think Ecuador falls short. They come up third, although they've been really impressive in this tournament, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get a result tomorrow and go through. And obviously, we know Qatar's eliminated. I don't see them doing anything that's going to get them out of the cellar of that group. They're going to finish last. Group B, the big one: England, USA, Iran, and Wales. That's the order I have them finishing in. I think USA has all the motivation. I think they have the tactics. I think they've looked really good in this tournament. I think they go out. I think they get a result. I think they get a win tomorrow against Iran, which will put them through into the knockout stages. I'd be very surprised if England doesn't comfortably beat Wales, which will clinch first place for England, which would leave USA in second. But it's a good spot to be in for the U.S. Iran's going to be tough. They've looked good in the tournament for the most part, other than the first game against England, and even in that game they scored 2 goals, which is better than England was able, or was better than what USA was able to do against England. So they're going to be dangerous. They're going to have everything to play for as well. They've got a chance to go through with a win or a draw. But I like being in the spot. I like knowing USA, knowing exactly what they have to do to get through. There's no, second guessing, no, thinking about what other tactics you might choose, no going conservative. They have to go for it, and they know that. They have to go for the win, and I like us in that spot. I like us knowing what we have to do. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what lineup choices Greg goes with. He's kept almost the same 11 for the first 2 games. Only change in game 2 was bringing Haji Wright for Josh Sargent. A lot of people calling for Gio Reno to come in. Eric Winalda being the troll and making up lies on the internet, kind of stirring the pot there. I said it before. I think Gio's hurt, and I think if anything, it's funny that they'd come out and say that Greg asked Gio to lie about being hurt. I think if anything, Greg's probably trying to protect Gio by not coming out and saying that he's hurt, or by just referring to it as had a little bit of tightness, because he doesn't want to hurt Gio's reputation any more than it already has by his injury history. So if anything, I think he's protecting Gio because he's not going to put him in a spot where he risks getting injured, hurting himself worse than maybe he already is. That's why he didn't get in game 1. Only got a handful of minutes in game 2, and maybe he was saving him for this spot. Maybe he wanted to see how the cards fell, what he needed coming into this game. Now he knows exactly what he needs to do to get us through to the round of 16. Maybe he was saving Gio for this spot, and Gio gets into the lineup. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I feel good about it, but it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy win. Like I said, Iran has everything to play for as well. They can go through the round of 16, something they've never done before, so they've got a huge motivation to perform. Also, believe what you will, there's also rumors about them getting extra motivation to perform in the form of threats and pressure from their government, also being threatened to not do anything that would speak out against their government, against their country. There's a lot going on there with the way women have been treated over there is getting a lot of attention, and the players have been somewhat vocal about being disappointed in the way their country is right now. So how much of a distraction is all that going to be for them? I don't know. I think they're going to be able to put on the blinders and go out there and play a really good game of soccer, but I got to believe in USA. If it's been this long, we wanted to get back to the World Cup. We've got to get the job done here. I've been somebody who's probably been a little bit more of a defender of Greg than most, so I got to stick with my guy. I've defended him. I don't necessarily think he's the best coach in the world, but I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people have made him out to be. So I think he gets the job done tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Can't wait for that one. Group C, I've got Argentina winning the group, Poland finishing second, Saudi Arabia slipping to third, Mexico finishing last. I didn't even realize it until I was looking through the tables and kind of looking at the scores. Mexico hasn't even scored in this World Cup yet, and they're still alive somehow in this tournament. They've got 1 point. Argentina's on, Poland's on 3, Argentina's on 3. Maybe I'm missing something here. No, Poland's on 4. Poland's on top of the group right now, but I think Argentina gets the win over them to go to 6 points and win the group. I think Poland, if they can keep it close and make sure they don't get their goal differential disrupted too bad, I think they hold on to the second place in that group. And Saudi Arabia, who's been impressive, played pretty well, but I think they fall just short there and end up in third. And Mexico might beat Saudi Arabia tomorrow. That might be, they might have one last gasp in them, and they might be able to get something done that would get them into a position to potentially go through, but they haven't shown anything that would make you think that they're going to suddenly stir up some great performance. But, a lot of good players in that team. It's going to be their last run at this, and maybe they have one last gasp to push them over the ledge, but I don't think so. I think they stay bottom of the group. Argentina and Poland go through to the round of 16 from C. D, we know France has already clinched a spot in the round of 16. I would expect them to get another result tomorrow and be able to hold on to first place in that group. I like Denmark to get a result tomorrow that'll push them up to second and push them through into the round of 16. Australia, great dramatic win the other day, but I feel like they're going to fall just short here. In Tunisia, overall, not been too impressed with them so far in the tournament. I think they finished last and are going to be eliminated. Group E, this one's been all over the place. Germany, borderline on the verge of being eliminated the other day against Spain, which would have been crazy for them to be one of the first teams eliminated. Got a tie, got the result they needed to keep themselves alive, and now they get to play. Even though they got the win over Japan, you still have to look at Costa Rica and say they're the weakest team in this group. I think Japan was just emotionally spent coming off their upset win over Germany. Costa Rica knew they had to do something. They had to show some signs of life and managed to go out and get a result. But I think Germany's found their lifeline. I think they did some things that made sense with their lineup more than what they did in the first game. I think they come out and they'll get a result against Costa Rica, which will push them up to second. Japan, I think they put everything they had into that first game against Germany and don't have much left. I'd expect Spain to take care of them to stay on top of the group and push Japan down to third. Spain first, Germany second. They go through to the round of 16 from Group E. Group F, Croatia, top of the group for me. Morocco second, Belgium third, Canada sadly fourth. Belgium's a team I've been predicting would not necessarily lay an egg, but be disappointing in this tournament. The golden generation's just past their prime, and they're being carried by Kevin De Bruyne right now. He's been very impressive in the tournament, but they're relying way too much on him. I don't see them being able to get the result they're going to need to get out of this group tomorrow. I think Croatia, unfortunately for Canada, that Alphonso Davies goal early in that game kind of woke Croatia up for the first time in the tournament, and they kind of looked more like the 2018 Croatia, the 2021 Euros Croatia, and really looked confident, looked good on the ball, looked like a dangerous team. I think they'll get a result tomorrow that'll see them top the group. Morocco, they've been impressive. They got a good result the other day against Belgium. I think they'll be able to get another result against Canada that'll see them go through as the second place team in the group. I feel sad for Canada, disappointed for them because they looked really good against Belgium, and it's really disappointing that they weren't able to get the result there because that could have set them on a completely different trajectory. Like I said, in the game against Croatia, for the first 10, 15 minutes, they were by far the better team in that game. If they'd been able to find a way to get a second goal after the Alphonso Davies goal, no telling what could have happened there for them in that game, but couldn't get on the end of the score sheet in the Belgium game, and it cost them. Then once they ran out of steam and Croatia got going, it was just all Croatia in that game. So it's a step in the right direction for them. They've got a good young core that they can build around, and I would expect to see them in the mix, and being very dangerous when the World Cup comes to U.S., Canada, and Mexico in 2026. They're going to be a threat in CONCACAF moving forward. Like what I saw from them, disappointed they weren't able to get the results that maybe they deserved. But they'll be back. This is a step in the right direction. First World Cup for them in years, first time ever scoring in a World Cup. Most of their core of players will be back in the future, so can only go up from here from Canada. Max in the chat says, "What's up?" Not much, just talking some soccer. Group G, Brazil has clinched a spot in the round of 16. I would expect them to finish up this round of the group stage of the tournament, top of the group. Switzerland, I was impressed with what I saw out of them, the effort they put in and thus far in the tournament. I think they'll do enough to get one more result, get through as the second place team in this group. I can't read my own writing here. I think Serbia ends up finishing at the bottom. Cameroon finishes third. Serbia just doesn't, I haven't seen much out of them that makes me think there's anything they're going to do that's going to keep them from not finishing last in the group and going out. Cameroon, I'd love to see them get a result and jump over Switzerland and go through. They've looked really impressive, but hard to see it happen at this point. It just doesn't seem likely. Got a little bit of distraction going on with their starting goalkeeper, Onana, kind of going against the coach and getting sent home from the tournament. Weird stuff going on there, but yeah, it feels pretty cut and dry. Brazil wins the group. Switzerland finishes second, both on to the round of 16. Lastly, Group H, Portugal and Uruguay are who I have going through here, although I can see Ghana. It's really close when I was picking between Uruguay and Ghana of who I thought would go through here. Portugal, I got to say, they've been a lot more impressive than I thought they would be. I thought the Ronaldo thing might be a distraction, but they've really dragged him along. I mean, you can see, hopefully you guys can see what I've talked about with him, that his legs are a little bit gone, that he doesn't have that burst he used to have. There was like, I almost recorded it off the TV today. There was one spot where he looked like he was about to do his little burst into space and get on the end of a cross, and he just fell down. And that's like, to me, that's the telltale sign, because I've been a person who's been the person who does that. That your legs are gone is once you're trying to make a burst or a quick move that you used to be able to make pretty easily. You don't fall down like trip over your own 2 feet fall down. It's like a weird, it's hard to describe, but I wish I'd videoed that off the game today, because it was exactly what I'm talking about, where your brain is making your body move faster than it's capable of moving, and you just kind of keel over or fall down because you can't go as fast as you're trying to go. He did that in the game today. He's just getting carried. Bruno has been awesome in this tournament for Portugal. I don't know that they can win with Ronaldo, like go all the way with Ronaldo, just because I feel like you need more from your striker than what he's going to be able to give them. Runs in the box, dangerous, taking up space. Almost got on the end of the Bruno goal today to make it a goal for him. So he's got a little bit in the tank. He's got more in the tank than other players at this tournament that have kind of fallen off have. But they're dangerous. They're better than I thought they were going to be. They might have a deep run in them. Getting matched up with potentially Switzerland in the next round would be a good matchup for them. Would set them up well to get to at least the quarterfinals. And their coach knows how to build a defensive wall, how to park the bus. So you get to those knockout stages where you don't have to win the game to go through. You just have to get to kicks from the mark. And they've got Bruno, great penalty taker. Ronaldo still can do that, at least for the most part. Bernardo Silva, probably a player you'd want on the end of a penalty kick. So if they can get into the knockout rounds, they can, set themselves up to play good, solid defense and steal some games. It might go deeper than I would have expected them to coming into the tournament. So hats off to Portugal. They've, proved me wrong in a lot of ways. So that's all I've got on the World Cup. Those are all my predictions for who's going through with these last round of group stage games coming up tomorrow. Wanted to talk quickly about the Tennessee Titans game against the Bengals on Sunday. I was there live. You can see snippets of the game that I put into this Thanksgiving weekend spectacular vlog that came out earlier today. Subscribe to the channel, turn the bell on for notifications so you get alerted when any videos go live. You can go back and check that out. I didn't film much of the game for two reasons. One, not a whole lot happened. It was kind of a stalemate for the most part throughout most of the game. They moved the ball well, but we tightened the defense up when we had to, and held them to field goals a few times, which worked out really well for us. Unfortunately for the Titans, the Bengals did the same thing. We got down to the red zone, I believe it was 4 times. No red zone touchdowns, which is very uncommon for us. That's one of the few things you have to give Todd Downing credit for. He's usually got our offense very efficient when it comes to red zone trips. Not today. Had to settle for field goals all day long. Missed one, which kind of threw off the rhythm, threw us out of sorts a little bit. There's a lot of F Todd Downing, a lot of people mad at Todd Downing coming out of the game, and rightfully so. He's just, if you're drawing up passes where you got Treylon Burks blocking for Jeff Swaim, you're doing it wrong, my friend. But I just think that the offensive line is just a problem. Like, we're not able to do the type of plays we would like to do because the offensive line can't hold up enough. The running game got just demolished with Ben Jones out the last few weeks. I mean, everybody, and there's only so much Derrick Henry can do when he's getting hit 3 yards in the backfield every single play. Todd Downing's not good, but the offensive line, that was something we weren't going to be able to overcome in this game. And the Bengals look like, they're just a team that, for whatever reason, they're the team right now that has the Titans number. They're our boogeyman right now. Till we get the chance to get that monkey off our back, they're going to have us for a while. The Colts were the team for a long time that we just couldn't beat. The Ravens back in the day just seemed to always be able to come in and beat us anytime we had the opportunity to beat them and do something good. It was always the Ravens for a while there, then it was the Colts. It just feels like maybe it's the Bengals now. 3-0 against us since Joe Burrow came into the league. We certainly didn't play like we were out there. Everybody said all week long, we're not treating this like a revenge game. It's just another game. And that is definitely what it seemed like, because the Titans were very lethargic in the game. There didn't seem to be the kind of energy, the kind of fire you usually see from a Titans team under Mike Vrabel. But Bengals are good, and they're going to get Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase back, and they're going to be even better. They had a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover to start the season. It kind of took them a while to figure out, what the best way to protect Joe Burrow was going to be. I mean, starting the season going against Micah Parsons and TJ Watt's never going to be easy for anybody, but you could definitely tell they changed their offense from what they tried to do last season, which ended up with us getting 9 sacks. Every throw just about from Joe Burrow was quick drop, knew exactly where we wanted to go, a lot of quick passes. Second half, we kind of figured that out, so we started playing a little bit tighter coverage, kind of took that way a little bit, but then he was able to drop a few passes to hit T. Higgins over the top of us there once we did. So, I mean, they're going to be dangerous because if you sit back, they'll throw short and dink and dunk you. If you come up, you play a little tighter, they'll beat you over the top. They can do a lot of things. Their defense is pretty solid. Joe Burrow looks like he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league for a long time to come. Sucks we're on the wrong side of this. I don't know if you'd call it a rivalry, but we're on the wrong side of things with the Bengals right now. Right now, the way the playoff matchups would be, we would be the 3rd seed. They would be the 6th seed coming to Nashville with another chance to beat us in our place and embarrass us again. Some people might not want that, but I want it. I want to play the Bengals again because I don't think, you got to get those monkeys off your back. You got to get the boogeyman out. You got to take care of those teams till you beat the teams that are in your head that are giving you those kind of nightmares. You really can't get past it. But I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter anyway. I think we can safely say this team is not a Super Bowl capable team anyway. So we're going to get into the playoffs by winning the division, but don't really see much of what we can do there. We just don't have the personnel to really. We don't have the coaching to overcome our personnel, and we don't have the personnel to overcome our coaching on the offensive side of the ball. It's a shame because the defense really feels like it's a Super Bowl capable defense. But the offense, Burks is coming alive. Chig, if they could just throw the ball to him more than once a game, has been a huge weapon as a tight end, but he only gets 1 to 2 throws a game. We get Kyle Phillips back. He was really bright the 1 or 2 games we got out of him before he got hurt. The offense can improve, but the offensive line is just so bad, and there's no way for it to get better at this point in time. Ben Jones coming back when he's able to get healthy will help a little bit, particularly in the running game, but Aaron Brewer and Daly are just not capable of being successful NFL players or giving us what we need from them. I mean, particularly in the pass blocking, it's weird how Aaron Brewer was such a liability in pass blocking. Now he's moved to center and he's terrible at run blocking at center, but it's not his natural position, so you can't blame him there. He's having to think of a lot of other stuff, calling out some of the scheme stuff from center, but he's not good enough. Daly's not good enough. Radunz, the jury's still out on him. MPF started the season pretty good. He hasn't been quite as good the last few weeks. And Nate Davis is a solid, if not spectacular, guard. So we've got a decent rookie, a solid, if not spectacular guard, a really good veteran center when he's healthy, and 2 guys who kind of stink, to be honest. Daly really stinks. I mean, Daly, it's almost unbelievable at this point in time that they haven't just tried something like Radunz at left tackle, find somebody else off the street to play left tackle, anybody but him. He's been so bad, and they're just going to ride him throughout the rest of the season. I don't know. Sucked. Bad result. Bengals beat us again, as they have now found a routine and pattern to do, but oh well. And the good news is we've got the best team in the NFL, or at least the team that's playing the best football in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles, next up. A.J. Brown. He hasn't been great the last few weeks, ever since he kind of tweeted some negative things about the Titans during one of their games. He's kind of gone off a cliff, a couple fumbles, not such great performances. But you got to know the way he thinks, the way he works. He, for some reason, even though I believe he forced his way out of town, I believe, from things I've read and people in the know, that he was not going to sign under any circumstance with the Titans, and he wanted to leave, likely to go reunite with his buddy Jalen Hurts up in Philadelphia. He got what he wants, so I don't know why he seems to keep being a troll, keep attacking the Titans, unless he just feels like he's worked himself into a chute where he believes the narrative that the Titans got rid of him and not the other way around. So he'll be motivated. He'll want to have a big game, but hopefully our defense will be just as motivated to shut him down and shut him up. So should be a good one. World Cup's going to be fun the next few days, seeing who wins these last few matches to get through to the knockout round, the round of 16. And Titans-Eagles, it'll be what it'll be. We'll see where we're at in terms of matching up against a really good team. I was actually shocked coming out of the Bengals game to learn the stat that the Titans have only beat one team with a winning record, and that's the Washington Commanders. And they were only 1-3 when we beat them, and they still had Carson Wentz as their quarterback. So, very different Commanders team than the Commanders team that's put together a few good results in the last few weeks. Tough stretch here coming up for the Titans. But super excited for USA Iran tomorrow. May do a live stream after that match, kind of review, recap it. Don't know for sure. We'll see what's going to come with these live streams moving forward. May just do one after each round as opposed to after each day of games. We'll see what happens. But like I said earlier, the best way to know what I'm going to do is to have the bell turned on for notifications and subscribe to the channel, because if you turn that bell on for notifications, you'll get a little push notification anytime I upload a vlog, anytime I go live for one of these streams. You can jump in the chat, talk with me, share your thoughts on the stupid stuff that I'm saying, whatever you want to do. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back